I can always tell when I am low on my self-love and my self-care because I start expecting other people to do it. Hey sis, today I want to talk to you about the basics of self-love, about being good to yourself. Maybe you realize that you have been slacking when it comes to your self-care game and you don't know where to start. I want to give you 5 things you can do to jumpstart a life of self-love, self-care, and all of the above. Many times the things that cause us to not be good to ourselves are related to trauma or low self-esteem. And so us treating ourselves poorly is just kind of like a reflection of that belief that you have. But when you're trying to reset your life, there are things you have to do externally, like things you do toward yourself, as well as things that you begin to do that change your mind from the inside. The first thing is deciding to be kind to yourself. What do I mean by that? It means that in your decisions, in your relationships, in what you do, literally using kindness as a filter of how you treat yourself. So asking yourself, hey, is this thing that I'm about to do, is it kind to me? And if it isn't, don't do it, and or find the alternative that is kind. And now, using self-kindness as a guide does not mean that you do the easiest thing, because sometimes the kindest thing to do in a situation hurts a little. However, you know through and through that it will be good for you, and that's the biggest thing. At first, as you're beginning to be kind to yourself, you might hear things like, what are you doing? You're being selfish, like accusations like that in your mind. But I want to tell you, don't listen. Decide to be kind to yourself anyway. Take the nap, say no if you need to, set the boundaries. And why? Because you're beginning to communicate to your subconscious and to yourself that you are worthy of kindness. The second thing that you can do is do frequent heart checks. Think of like the check engine light on your car. You would never put duct tape over it when it comes on. You would take it to the mechanic and figure out what's wrong and then fix it, you know? But sometimes our hearts will do things in the form of feelings, in the form of anxiety, or in the form of just like exhaustion, and we ignore it. Some people are like, heart, you have one job, pump blood, that's it, you know, like, why are you feeling? But by stopping to ask your heart what's going on and listening to it, you are communicating to yourself that you matter, that your feelings matter, that your thoughts matter, that your experiences are valid. And that is a huge part of beginning to grow in self-love. The next thing is making food choices that will help you, not hurt you. And somebody's not gonna like this because you're gonna feel like I'm coming for your Chick-fil-A fries, but I'm serious. Understanding what your body needs to thrive, like grains, whole foods, fruits and veggies, and giving that to it is like such a huge part of self-love. Emotional eating is a real thing. And in fact, like I recently had a situation that was really stressing me out, and I found myself reaching for the ice cream and just repeatedly going to these comfort foods. But if you think about it, comfort foods may temporarily help you feel better, but ultimately they're hurting you. And you can't say you love yourself, but then you're giving yourself poison in the form of constant processed foods, fried foods. Like, you're literally gonna run yourself down to the ground. It doesn't mean that you don't have, your cheat foods, but it just means you make that the exception and not the rule. Another practical way to start being good to yourself is asking for space and time before you make a decision. When you're a people pleaser, it is very easy when anybody asks you to do anything to let your knee-jerk reaction be yes. You're like, hey, can you help me with? Sure, yeah, absolutely, what can I do? But if you tell yourself, you know what, I'm always gonna ask for space first before making a decision, that will help you a lot with setting boundaries and loving yourself. And so what that could look like, for instance, is somebody may say, hey, can you help me with X, Y, and Z? You can say, oh my gosh, this sounds awesome. If it's okay, I would like X amount of time, and then I can confirm for sure. And anyone who doesn't want to give you time and who's like, nope, you got to decide right now, it's not worth going. Anything you have to rush to decide is not worth doing, because you want to take your time. You want to make sure that if you're going to commit to it, you've checked all the boxes, you make sure you feel good about it, you make sure that it aligns with your priorities, that you have the time to do it, so that when you go back and you say, yes, I'm in, it's a full, wholehearted yes. So stop and ask for a little bit of time and space so that you can sit with it it and decide if it's right for you. The last thing you can do to jumpstart a life of self-love and self-care is to work out frequently. And before you're like, oh, I guess I really need to, here's the thing. I was one of those people who was notoriously inconsistent with working out. I knew I needed to, but I hated the gym and it just felt like so much work. But then I was able to find ways to work out pretty much daily that I loved. I found things that energized me and that literally felt kind for me. I found that I loved going on walks because I love being outdoors and I love nature. I also started a workout accountability group where me and a bunch of girls hold each other accountable to working out every day. And so just kind of finding these hacks have helped me to be good to my body and to pursue my fitness and my strength goals because I am working out daily. And so those are my tips for learning to be good to yourself and how to grow in loving yourself well.
Hello, hello, let's go round the world together. Pack a camera, we'll make memories, memories forever. Whether London or Dubai, as long as you are by my side, it don't matter where we go.